This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're landing me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here on a Tuesday morning, final Tuesday of the month of August. I'm Jeff Parles. She is Alex White. Alex, just another day closer to getting us to the first full Saturday of the college football season.
It really feels like that, Jeff. 1-3 for me yesterday in baseball, so it's been a little brutal. A lot of work going into football right now as we gear up for week 1 officially. But I mean, it's that time of year, right, where you're mixing sports, you're trying to do everything. You got to just be selective and bet responsibly, of course.
Well, we're gonna have a good show for you. Of course, we'll go through the baseball card as we always do, but we get to kick off the show with one of our favorites, Sammy P, Sam Panayotovich, one of the hosts of Bet Sweats. It's him and Joe O from 9 to noon Eastern. That's early morning for us out here on the West Coast, 6 to 9 Pacific time on the Bet MGM network. And there he is in the middle of your screen right now, our guy Sammy P. Good morning, Sam. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to see you both in Vegas. And I know you both get up every morning at 6 o'clock and listen to the entire 3-hour Bet Sweats. I know you do, so thank you.
You know, I will tell you the invention of the podcast, Sam, has been a very nice thing for anything that starts before 8 a.m. out here for either of us. So go back, listen to it, and get our day going with that, Sam. So let's begin. We're going to have a lot of ACC flavor. Also, you wrote up an article with a few of your favorite plays on foxsports.com as well that we'll get to later on. But I want to start with the team where everyone's eyeballs are on, and that is, of course, the Clemson Tigers. Bizarre path, but they got to the ACC championship a year ago and won it, got into the college football playoff, lost to Texas in round 1, but Dabo finally realized that there's a transfer portal that he can utilize. Cade Klubnik is back. Some look at him as the best quarterback in the country. What is your outlook for Clemson, of course, with a high win total of 10 here at the South Point?
Well, we start with the quarterback, and if his last name was Manning, he might be 4-1 to win the Heisman, but it's not, so he's floated out a little bit. I was told 2 months ago that this is the best Clemson offense since Trevor Lawrence was there. And they won a national title, obviously, and then Lawrence eventually went first overall. Now, that could be hyperbolic, and I could be given the bill of goods there, but receiver-wise, they're as good as they've been since the late 2010s. That much is obvious. And we know with Clemson, you know, I got into it with Bear the other day on Bear Bets. He said, well, they forced a lot of turnovers last year. So that's what they do. You're going to knock them for being good at that? They've got 4 or 5 NFL guys on defense every single year. And to your point, Dabo finally realized, all right, this you must start at Clemson to finish at Clemson nonsense is a thing of the past. I have them as like my 5th best team in the country. And, some guys have them 8, 9. Some guys even have them higher than that. But I think 5 is a good place to start. I love the way they open up their season. Obviously, Clemson got blasted week 1. That money line went from minus 140 to about minus 180, as now Clemson's about a 4-point favorite. But talent-wise, there's nobody better. And I think development, that's the difference between Clemson and Miami. They both have players, but Dabo Swinney's been much better at developing said players from freshmen to sophomores into juniors and seniors.
Sammy, I was a little early on Clemson. I was pretty high on them last year. I definitely bet them week by week, which was profitable. But now here they are, and I actually have them 3rd best in the country. We'll see how that pans out. Then it's a 3 points Miami, 3 points SMU, 3 points Louisville. So a little bit of a gap there. Who do you think, which 2 are going to make it to the ACC Conference Championship?
Well, the easy answer is Clemson, Miami, which I think all of our mothers and fathers could pick looking at this board. That's not exactly a hot take. I like Georgia Tech, though. If Haynes King is healthy, I think that team has a much higher upside than market believes. And, the price 10-1 around that range. Some books might be shorter, some books might be higher, but I think at 10-1, that's a very fair price on them. I know you were saying the other day, Duke. I like Duke. I don't know that I'm willing to say they're going to make the title game, but I assure you both, I'll have a nice bet on Duke week 2 when they're a home dog against Illinois. I cannot wait for that spot. I'm more of a spot guy than a big picture guy, but I do think, look, Clemson and Miami to me are the cream. But if you're looking for a sneaky sleeper pick to win this conference, it would be Haynes King and Georgia Tech, the Jackets.
10-1 right now on Georgia Tech. Of course, they have a big game right out of the chute. Doesn't matter for ACC play, but at Colorado on that first Friday night, 3 days from now to kick off their year. I want to go to North Carolina real quick. We'll circle back to Miami because I know you got thoughts on their game this weekend, but everyone has an opinion on Bill Belichick and Chapel Hill. Sam, on the surface, their schedule, they got a great draw in ACC play. It's one of the easier ACC schedules in these mega leagues that we have now. Gio Lopez comes over from South Alabama to be their quarterback. What are your thoughts on North Carolina? Is this going to work? Is this going to be a train wreck for Belichick in the collegiate ranks?
I wouldn't be surprised if they lost by 2 touchdowns week 1. But I think it's important to understand that week 1 is probably the weakest they're going to be. And this should be a team that progresses naturally because of their coach. And I actually wrote a story about this with Kenny White, and he was saying that, Belichick teams, even in New England when they had a top 10 defense coming into a season, he would be high on them coming into a season. You go, I'll put them 8th or 9th in defense, and they would still get better. Now, he had players, obviously, in New England. The players aren't there. But in terms of numbers on Carolina, the common conversation is, well, what do you do with the win total at 7.5? My counter to that question is, what's the number on the amount of times North Carolina is going to be outcoached? 1.5? Maybe. There's not this murderer's row of exceptional X's and O's guys and schematic geniuses and halftime adjustment wizards. So, all right, they're going to lose to Clemson. Everybody knows that. But the rest of those games, I could make the case that they're going to be better coached. And they're going to win those middle eights. They're going to win the halftime adjustment wars. They just need to not get pummeled and quit early. But you look at the schedule, after you play that first game against TCU, things do lighten up. And then conference play isn't that difficult. I have my concerns with the talent, sure. But I think it would be stunning if North Carolina's power rating right now on August 26th was not 5, 6, 7 points higher by the time we get to the end of the season, and that might be a low number. They might not be ready early, but halfway through September into October, this should be a team that's prepared, that buys in, and that is extremely well coached. And I'll tell you this, I get emails all the time from sportsbooks. Some of the top bets across the country all involve North Carolina under. Okay. Everybody's betting the under. Joe Public's on the under. What could go wrong there? The public's never wrong. Is it, Jeff and Alex? Never wrong.
That's a good point. So just be aware and be ready to make your adjustments week by week, especially if you're seeing them start to progress. All right, let's get into Miami and what you are expecting from the Canes, of course, with Carson Beck now over there. I am pretty intrigued with this team and what we are going to see. The thing that scares me is they do have to go to Texas and play SMU throughout their schedule. So I see a scenario where they're both 7-1 and SMU is the tiebreaker here. But what are your expectations? How can we make some money by betting the Canes this year?
Well, this is about the time when Mario Cristobal was at Oregon, where all the talent just merged together masterfully. And that was a team that ended up going to the Rose Bowl, winning the Rose Bowl against Wisconsin. And they had a guy by the name of Justin Herbert at quarterback. I'm not drawing a direct parallel between Justin Herbert and Carson Beck, but you can see the similarities. And Miami has done nothing but add talent for the last 3 off seasons. Those guys that were brought in as freshmen are now seniors. And you're starting to see the depth really show itself. I get it. People are scared of Mario Cristobal. That's fine. If you think that way, though, you're going to be on the outside when things eventually turn around like they did at Oregon. A lot of times people say, oh, well, he can't win the big one. Then he won the Rose Bowl. So I think you look at this roster. You said you have a little gap between Clemson and Miami. I'm even closer than that. I just happen to like Clemson's defense more than Miami's defense. But this is a team that should be right there for the playoff. And you look at some of those markets, plus 185, 2-1 to make the playoff. I think the quarterback play is so important in this ACC because there's not many good ones. Think about Miami, though, and think about this offense. In the last couple of years, what they've been able to do with Cam Ward. I mean, they turned Cam Ward into the number 1 pick in the draft. Carson Beck was the Heisman favorite last summer. We're talking 650, 7-1. And then things didn't go well in Georgia. He ends up getting hurt. But now his market, I showed Alex a ticket at Bet Bash, 37-1 in the middle of June. Now, I can't pass post on your program because that number is long gone. But I think he's right there in the mix of one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the draft next year. And the receivers are reloaded. They've got talent. They have 2 NFL offensive linemen that probably go in the first round. And they have a system that is conducive to stats. This is catch the ball and throw it. Get it to speed and get out of the way. So I think this is going to be a fun team. If the defense is better than it was last year, and it should be, this is a 10-win team that makes the playoff for the first time under Mario.
If nothing else, he definitely knows how to win. I'm curious if they are a 1-loss team, they lose to SMU, don't make it to the conference championship game. You still think they make it in the playoffs? We're thinking 3 for the ACC again?
Could be. Sounds like you're a little bit higher on SMU than most, though, Alex.
You know how I already was adding in the home field and then kind of feeling it out and kind of gave them the edge. So not necessarily. I'm just trying to think worst case scenario here for the Canes.
I think Clemson's in, and then let's split the hair here. It's either Miami or SMU. It's a 2-win conference because there's not a lot of depth. And if you slip up against inferior teams, you're not going to be rewarded. But I'd be surprised if Clemson did not make it. I mean, that quarterback, that offense, and those NFL bodies on defense, along with the coaching staff, Clemson should be in. Like, there's no way I would bet Clemson to miss the playoff. Obviously, Miami is favored to miss the playoff, but I put them a smidge above SMU, and I think we've got Clemson and Miami in the playoff.
Well, and just looking at the Canes schedule, obviously they do have that trip to Dallas on November 1st. All the other tough conference games, other than that brutal spot at the end of the year at Pitt, which we know will be cold, there'll be blustery there on the banks of the Three Rivers. But Sam, my bigger concern for Miami, and more so than just Mario Cristobal, even though he seems to win 8-9 games every year, finds a way to win 2 games or lose 2 games in just absolutely ridiculous fashion. They have Florida, and then they have Notre Dame this upcoming Sunday. And Sam, they're a dog in this game against Notre Dame. They just got to find a way to split those 2 games, and I don't see them going worse than 10-2 this year.
If you can't beat a freshman quarterback in his first ever start and you're at home, that's a problem. And I don't know that Notre Dame should be favored. Obviously, you're paying the premium there because last time we saw Notre Dame, they were in the national title game. And I think, Notre Dame's a team a lot like North Carolina where they'll be better down the road. But you're throwing this kid into a damn wood chipper right away. All right, here's your first start. Let's go on the road to Miami. It's not ideal. And if they fall behind, That's a lot of pressure on CJ Carr to throw them back into a game. Look, Notre Dame's defense is going to be great, but they also lost multiple starters of the NFL. And if this kid can't handle adversity early in this game, we're not talking whole season because Notre Dame is still 10-11 win good. Schedule is very, very weak. But this is, to me, I mean, Julian's saying at least he's at home for Ohio State. I mean, he's at home against Texas. Notre Dame's got to take a freshman quarterback on the road to Miami and deal with everything that comes with that. So I think they win. I think Miami should be a small favorite. So I took 3. Yes, I still like plus 2.5. If I think Miami should be favored, I'll take anything with a plus price. I'm worried, though, Jeff, that maybe I'm a little too bullish on Miami, but that's what you have to be in August. You got to be confident and proud in your bets, and then we can just forget them when they all flame out.
There's no question of the talent. There's no question of the talent with this team. And you mentioned, I mean, Beck going into last year was essentially the Heisman favorite in most books. And then we all just didn't quite give the proper credit for how we knew how good Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey were, but it showed up pretty quickly. That's really the biggest reason for Beck's quote unquote poor year a year ago in Athens. One other one I want to go to in the ACC, and then we'll look at some of the plays that you had in the article that you wrote up at Fox Sports. And this is in the article as well, and that's the California Golden Bears. Of course, Justin Wilcox has seemingly been there forever now at this rate in Berkeley. They're starting a true freshman quarterback as well. They got a win total of 5.5 here at the South Point. Sammy P., what are we looking at here with the Golden Bears?
Curious on the juice that Chris and the boys have in the back there.
Minus 40. Minus 40, Sam.
I still think that's a good bet. And let me assure you, I'm not laying 140 on every future bet. But I even thought about there's a couple places in the country that are offering 5. I can go under 5 at about plus 130. I've entertained that. I've got them winning about 3 or 4. So if it lands 5 and I push, that's fine. If you're a little squeamish about laying 140, I understand it. But if I think it should be minus 190, I'm going to lay minus 140. It is so bad there at Cal that Ron Rivera, who's the general manager at Cal, he has more sauce now than Justin Wilcox. Think about that.
Yeah, not good.
The head coach is supposed to be the king. Well, they are cutting off NIL, and they are taking players that Rivera wants instead of Wilcox. Okay, that's kind of weird. Let's add in the fact that they lost 35 players to the portal, including their quarterback, who, by the way, left Cal to go to Indiana. Let's wrap our heads around that. How many times have quarterbacks left Cal to go to Indiana? I assure you it's never happened before. They're going to start 2-2. But then they start that cross-country ACC schedule where they might get 2 wins, might. And here's the other thing. If this program is a house of cards, as I've been told, and they go 2-4, 2-5, these guys are going to quit. The players are going to quit. They're not going to want to go back and forth and try and give the effort. So I think it's a disaster waiting to happen. And we saw some really sharp people go under 5.5 at minus 20 and 25. And now at 40, that's sort of that limit for me. Like, I think minus 140 is as expensive as you should get on a win total or a future bet. I still think it should be higher. And you could look up, and this could easily be a 3-9, 4-8 football team. Wilcox gets shown the door at the end of the year. I don't understand why they're bringing in Ron Rivera to connect with 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. It didn't work at the end in Washington. So we think it's going to work in college now. I think it's a bad idea, and I think this is a nightmare season for Cal.
Sammy, who do you think has lower expectations here between Cal and Stanford?
Well, I did laugh. That's a good question. Stanford should be worse, I think, but they're both bad. I did laugh, though. Stanford moved the ball at will on the ground, and then at the end of the game, they're like, you know what? We're going to pass it now. I'm like, what are you doing? You just ran. You ran 80 yards in 6 plays right down Hawaii's throat, and then decided, all right, we're going to pass now. The coaching is an issue at both places, but I honestly think this is one of those teams where the bottom falls out and then players just give up on the coaching staff. And I don't care what the point spread is. I don't care what the win total is adjusted. if a team gives up, you can't quantify that. And that's very possible in Berkeley this year.
And I think we're going to start seeing that more and more in this era of the transfer portal too, Sam, because these guys are just going to pick up and leave in the offseason as long as it's just the Wild West. And I would expect that to happen, not if it doesn't happen in Berkeley, if it'll happen in other places this upcoming season. All right, Sam, you wrote an article for FoxSports.com. Of course, you're a key part of the Bear Bets podcast with Chris Felica as well. And let's start with the game that Fox has on Saturday, and that, of course, is Ohio State and Texas. But we're looking season long for the Buckeyes. Yes, they have the two best players in the country, in my opinion, in Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, but they are starting Julian Sayin, who will be making his first career start and first time as a full-time starter. Sam, 10.5 the win total on the Buckeyes here. They get Texas. They get Penn State at home. What do you like there with that win total?
And, of course, Michigan, who they haven't beaten in 4 years. So that is not an easy game. Look, I'm gambling a little bit here, and Ohio State could easily go 11-1. I don't know about 12-0, but I could definitely lose this bet. It's very, very tough to bet against some of the best teams in the country, but on the other side of that, if they lose this first game, they got to go 11-0 to beat me, And of course, they could lose to Texas's defense and lose to Arch Manning. I do think it's funny though, and I wonder, Alex, what your number is in the game. I haven't heard one person on the over in this game, and it's been a 2-week diet of under, 24-10, 27-10, 24-20, 20-14. I haven't heard one person say over, which does cause a little bit of concern. And of course, respected players came under 50.5. And now we're at that number where we're 47.5, and the buyback hasn't come yet. I know guys for sure that are waiting on 47 if it gets there. I don't know that we get to 47, but guys would blast 47 over like you wouldn't believe. I see South Point's 48, but some books are 47.5. And I'm just waiting to jump in. Like, I'm wondering, could I get a 47? Could I automate this server? Yes, I could. I'm looking for 47, and I will make a big bet over. If I hear one more time that these are two young quarterbacks and two good defenses, I'm going to lose my mind. This number, I think, should be 49 or 50, and the fact that it's creeping toward 47 is a mistake. So I'm ready to pounce on 47. I'd go over before I do anything else in the game. I'm curious, Alex, what your total is, true number.
Actually, I have 53, Sam. I'm just a little bit gun shy with the overs after that Iowa State, Kansas State, maybe kind of holding off on week one. But you're right, 47. I think we might see that by the game time.
You have 5 NFL receivers in this game. And I talked to a couple guys who played high-level secondary in college. You're not stopping that. You're not stopping these guys on Ohio State. You're not stopping these guys on Texas. Now, if the quarterbacks struggle, that's a different story. I love how you're jaded by a game in a monsoon in Ireland. Like that has anything to do with a game in sunny Columbus on Saturday. But I think you should trust your numbers there. Wink, wink.
Very good.
Weather is going to be perfect in Columbus. It's going to be like it's just the end of September as opposed to the end of August, mid to high 70s on Saturday. Sammy, one more college thing before we go over to some NFL-related things. Chris and company, of course, last year put up the Ohio State and Georgia versus the field prop. It was a long, wayward road, but the Buckeyes and Georgia end of it got there. This year, it's just closer to what they usually do for college basketball, which conference will win a national championship. SEC is the betting favorite at plus 135, Big Ten at plus 140, the ACC at 10-1, Notre Dame plus the G5 at 10-1, and then the Big 12 at 20-1 to win the college football national championship. What do you like here, Sam, if anything?
So it is interesting because I did bet Clemson. That was the only bet I've made, and this is a couple months ago, and they were at a number bigger than 10-1. I think Clemson's the only team I would bet. I don't know that I would bet Miami to win the title or SMU to win the title or Duke to win the title. But I would be curious to see where I could find a better number than 10-1. Of the options you presented, it's very obvious SEC, Big Ten, or the 1-2 punch, but I would rank them this way in terms of the way I would bet them. I'd put ACC number 1, I'd put the SEC 2, and the Big Ten number 3.
Sammy, let's go to some NFL before we let you go here. Now, it's funny, I was on Cofield and I asked him and Justin Watkins about drafting CMC a little bit early, right? 3 or 4, because he was the number 1 last year. And what are we going to see? And they told me that you actually have a offensive player of the year on him because of the number. And you might be a little higher on the 49ers, who were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago and have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL.
I am attacking San Francisco the way that I attacked Philly last year, because if you remember, Philly coming into last summer, the defense is washed. They collapsed. I remember vividly listening to Philly radio last August saying that the team should fire Nick Sirianni. And I thought, okay, we'll see. Let me bet a little 7-1 NFC. Let me bet a little bit of Saquon Barkley, offensive player, at 25-1. Last year's Philly is this year's San Francisco. We're seeing a lot of the same numerical comparison. So Philly was 7-1. San Francisco's like 9-1 or cheaper to win the conference. I see South Point's got them 7-1. Okay, I bet 9. I would still consider it 8, maybe not so much at 7. But the hype is not there, even though they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Now, I think the biggest move of the entire offseason, and this is not hyperbole, I really believe this. Last year, I wrote about Fangio going to the Eagles to fix the defense. This year, it's Robert Saleh going back to San Francisco. The defense got younger, got quicker. They lost some names, okay, but those names couldn't stay on the field. Guys like Hufanga, guys like Hargrave. So you got younger and probably more efficient on defense. You also have a healthy Christian McCaffrey. All the reports are good. McCaffrey was 5-1, 6-1 last summer for offensive player. This year, he's got Barkley prices. He's 25, he's 22, he's 20. I just don't think that makes sense. I would have never bet Barkley last summer at 10-1. I bet him because he was in the 20s. I was never going to bet McCaffrey last year at 5-6. It's all relative. It's all stock. And McCaffrey last year at 5-6-1 is now in the 20s. If he scores 2 touchdowns week number 1 against Seattle, what's the number, right? What's the number heading into week number 2? 10-1. So I'm grabbing a number. Obviously, knock on wood, you hope he stays healthy. But I'm high on San Francisco. Got conference win total over and McCaffrey OPOI.
Niners, Sam, of course, in the NFC West with a lot of injury questions for the team that they're most competing with L.A. But, Sam, we've talked about this on the show. And in this Kyle Shanahan era and even beyond that, it's basically been NFC Championship game or further, or they just missed the playoffs. Clearly, you're in the camp with liking McCaffrey to win the Offensive Player of the Year at that big, nice number, that you would probably be leaning towards the Niners making the NFC Championship game and maybe even going further. Are you on the Niners to win the NFC here this year at that same price Philadelphia was a year ago at 7-1?
Absolutely. I think they're going to win 12 or 13 games, probably have home field, because the NFC East is going to be a dogfight this year. I like the Eagles, obviously. I think they're everybody's top team in the NFC, but the Commanders are very good. The Cowboys could win a game or two and spoil some things. I think San Francisco, that's another market to think about. San Francisco to be the 1 seed in the NFC, at which point they have home field all the way through. I am definitely invested on them. Again, over the win total, win the conference. McCaffrey to do big things. Everything will go south when he rolls his ankle in week 3, but that's why we gamble, boys and girls.
I was going to let Jeff take this one because I think he's kind of similar to you here, where I'm big fan of the Ravens, and I'm happy a lot of people are not talking about the Ravens this year to take down the Chiefs, win the AFC, but a lot of people do like the Bills or the Bengals, and you seem to be liking Josh Allen's team. Make the case for the Bills to make it all the way to the Super Bowl and potentially win it.
So the entire offense is back. Everybody that matters is back. Josh Allen was the MVP last year. He has added something to his game every single offseason. And defensively, they go out, they bring back Trey White to play corner. Adding Joey Bosa is a big deal on third downs. I think coaching-wise, with Brady and Babbage, the coordinators are solid. And Sean McDermott has done nothing but dominate this division. They have French doors to the playoffs. because their division stinks. This is a 12 or 13 win team. Yet again, win total's 12. That's not a hot take. They're going to win this division. And I think after losing to the Chiefs 4 times in the playoffs, including 3 of them by 1 score, this is Buffalo's year to break through. I actually have Baltimore and Buffalo. I have Baltimore 1, Buffalo 2, but I trust Josh Allen more than I trust Lamar Jackson. And for the first time in my life, I have bet my actual money on the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl. It took me a while. I was hovering over the submit. My thumb couldn't quite go down, but I finally got there, and I did bet the Buffalo Bills.
You know, Sam, I am still in the same camp because if they don't get it done this year, where this is the weakest the AFC East. Look, the AFC East has been weak arguably for 2 decades. Part of the reason New England was able to dominate the way that they did. But New England's I'm not buying the Patriots. I think the Dolphins are going to be a complete mess, and the Jets just aren't good enough yet to realistically push. The schedule's a joke. And Sam, you get the playoffs through Western New York. Imagine you get the snow globes. I know it didn't work against Cincinnati, but that was such a strange year with everything that had happened before it for the Bills. This has to be the year. And it's part of the reason I'm with you that Buffalo is my pick as well to raise the Lombardi for the first time in franchise history.
And if it doesn't happen this year, I will not drink the Kool-Aid again next year. I promise you both. I am with you 100%. And the Bills are the betting favorite here at the South Point right now to win the Super Bowl at 6-1. He's Sammy P, Sam Panayotovich, SP Shoot on the tweets. Bet Sweats is the show. Him and Joe Ostrowski do a tremendous job. 9 to noon Eastern, 6 to 9 in the morning Pacific time. Bet Sweats on the BetMGM network. Of course, Chicken Dinner and Fox Sports as well for our guy, Sammy P. Sam, it's always a pleasure, man. Thanks for being with us here today. Love you guys. Love your show. And I'll see you for wings around Super Bowl. That sound well. I know our friends over at Naked City Pizza would love a Buffalo Bills Super Bowl, to say the very least, if that would be the case. Sam Panayotovich, everyone. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we go through the baseball card here on a Tuesday morning. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
Football contest sign-up season is here, and you don't want to miss out on the action. With millions of dollars on the line each and every week in the world's biggest football contest, there's only one proxy to trust, footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have set the gold standard for football contest proxy services with 20 years of experience and over 13 million in winnings for their clients. All you have to do is get to Vegas between now and the start of football season to sign up in person, and they do the rest, making sure your picks are entered every week. Whether you want to play in the Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, Super Contest Gold, or the new Super Contest College Contest, Maddie and Tony have you covered. Their new website has everything you need to know about these football contests and more, including how you can reserve the best proxy in the business. Experience matters, so go with the pros at footballcontest.com, the gold standard proxy service.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book. Sports by the book. South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total is really crashed without Plum in the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
Welcome back in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff. She's Alex. Big thanks to our guy, Sammy P, for joining us here this morning. Always love catching up with Sam. Of course, you can see him pretty much everywhere. All over Fox, Bet Sweats. Him and Joe O just do. I mean, look, they've been doing shows forever, obviously, out of Chicago. But the two of them are awesome on Bet Sweats. And, of course, you hear Sam Panayotovich with our friend of the show, Chris Felica, on the Bear Bets podcast through Fox Sports as well.
And we had him on to cover some college football and specifically ACC. And we didn't really, we kind of were in the same boat, right? We both love Clemson going into the year like Miami. You gave out Miami to make the playoffs just last Friday on Football Frenzy.
Yep.
I might have to add that too with both of you. And I'm going to add one more win total. And he was teasing about Duke, but I do like Duke's win total. So I'll add that to the board for one of my futures as well.
I will say there is, in the ACC, if you just look through that conference as a whole, Sammy said he was higher on Georgia Tech than the market. I agree with Sammy P on that Georgia Tech is, again, quarterback that's been there forever and in college forever now at Haynes King, good coach.
Their
schedule's pretty tough.
Pretty tough.
They obviously have to play Georgia the last week of the season, as they always do. They have to play Clemson as well. But it is 7.5. It is juice minus 140 for a reason, though, because they're going to be favored, even with the tough schedule. They're still going to be favored in 8 of 12 games, more likely than not, here this year, the Yellow Jackets. So
if they can get through that schedule too, and actually, make it to the conference championship game, they'll be well tested. So, I mean, that isn't a bad bet to have.
If they make the conference championship game, then either Miami or Clemson's not making a playoff this year. So, again, all roads lead to the crash course because they don't play each other in the regular season. The U and Clemson playing each other in the conference title game. Again, Clemson, even money here at the South Point to win the ACC. Miami at 4-1. Louisville at 7-1. Chris talked about that last week. He's high on the Louisville Cardinals here with Jeff Brom at head coach and Miller Moss, transfer from USC, moving over. SMU 8-1. You're a little bit higher on them than I am, but Vinny yet again for the second straight year high on the Ponies, and then Georgia Tech at 10-1. And then after that, no one else realistically a threat to get to Charlotte, even though you're going to have that Duke win total on your whiteboard at the end of the show here today.
Florida State will be very interesting. Look at them sitting there at 25-1. How can they turn this thing around from the disaster of last year?
It can't get any worse, right?
Yep.
And if it does, see you, Norvell, if it gets any worse down there in Tallahassee. All right, before we get to baseball here today, new segment coming. Be on the lookouts for the Rushmore 4. It's going to be a segment that our own Chris Andrews inspired. Just embrace debate. The 4 best athletes out of select cities throughout the country, of course, naturally, even though our friend Frank Nicotero is not with us anymore, starting in the city of Pittsburgh. So be on the lookout for more details. Well, more details tomorrow on the Rushmore 4 that we'll be doing all year long moving forward, as many cities as we can possibly get. So be on the lookout for that here on Sports by the Book and on social media. All right, to baseball we go, Alex, and we start in Miami. And rare did I actually get a take on a Marlins-Braves game right, but I said yesterday I thought the Marlins were cheaply priced. The Marlins win 2-1, even though I was wrong that Strider was going to get bombarded again. But the Marlins did win 2-1. It'll be Waldrop and Sandy Alcantara. Waldrop has been unbelievably good for Atlanta in his small sample size. We talked about this basically every time he's pitched, and he hasn't had a bad one yet. He's a minus 130 favorite here tonight. By the way, that's the biggest number in the market on Atlanta. You can do better out there right now. Total of 8 down there in South Beach tonight. I actually kind of like the price on Alcantara here at plus 115. Sandy has been, again, consistency's been the issue all year for Sandy, but he has been much better over his last 5 starts. I know he had one balloon in there, but the other 4 have been good for the most part. So I like Alcantara and the Marlins at plus 115 here at home.
Well, and we know Boston's been one of the hottest teams in baseball, and he pitched great at Fenway. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 earned run in 6, and then coming off of his best start of the year against the Cardinals, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 5 hits, 9 strikeouts to 1 walk. So I'm with you. It'd only be taking a shot here at the dog at home with Sandy on the bump, but I'm probably not going to play that one because I am just nervous. And I mean, Waldrop has been so good. We'll see if he can keep it going, or maybe it's a little bit of a do factor here and the Marlins get to him a little bit.
It's a, for these two teams, again, just playing out the string. But you know what? I will say for the Marlins, holding on to third place actually would be an accomplishment this year, especially when we talked about going into the year. Hey, it's going to be a 3-headed monster in the National League East yet again. The Mets, the Phillies, the Braves, and now obviously Atlanta has had a disaster of a season, even though they're getting Chris Sale back this weekend, which surprised me a little bit that he's even going to pitch again here this year after that rib injury he suffered after that fabulous diving play about 2 months ago. All right, let's move along. We'll keep it in the NL East. The Mets bombarded the Phillies last night. Philly had a 3-0 lead, and it looked like here we go again. Christopher Sanchez was brilliant, and then he got his cleats stuck in the ground on a balk, and he was never the same after that. Mets scored 13 unanswered to win 13-3 against the Phils yesterday. It's Luzardo and Minaya, battle of lefties. We've talked about Minaya. He has struggled to give length. Other than that first outing in Kansas City out of the bullpen, Minaya has not pitched well for the Mets. Phillies, Luzardo, again, not as consistent of late, but still at large a good year for Jesus in his first year in Philly. And the Phillies are a small road favorite here tonight at minus 115, Alex.
I don't want to get caught here again with the Phillies. Makes me a little bit nervous here. I would only go first 5 minus 120 if I was going to try with them again, but this is just, such a big series between these two. I do just worry about Minaya because his last 3 starts, he's given up 4 earned runs pretty consistently, 5 in the one before that. So I think the Phillies can get to him. Jesus Luzardo, like you said, a little inconsistent. It's been very off and on, but I mean, on the road since June, 4.23 ERA, 1.38 whip. So nothing great, but I do think it's still a slight advantage here over Minaya. So first 5 would be the only way.
If we see an Aiden in this game, this will absolutely be on the card as an over. Yeah. And the Mets have been outrageously good on offense the last 2 weeks. Part of the reason they're not on a big monster streak is because their pitching has been mostly terrible, other than a few select starts here and there, mostly from the young rookie Nolan McLean, who's got thrown 2 brilliant outings. He goes tomorrow. But I would lean to the over, even at 8.5, even. I expect runs here, and the Met offense completely locked in. And I will say this, and the Phillies might be the most complete team in the National League. And this kind of showed up last night where, as great as Christopher Sanchez has been this year, I have my concerns against high-end lineups and the teams you're going to see in the postseason when you are realistically speaking, a junk ball pitcher. His changeup has been a top 10 pitch in baseball this year. And Ranger Suarez kind of in that same mold. You're going to have to get a lot out of Luzardo. I said yesterday, I don't know what Aaron Nola is at this point. The Phillies are going to win the NL East still. If they don't win the NL East, that means that the Mets have gone at least 6-1 including yesterday in the 7 games these two teams have left. And then the Phillies fall apart after that. Mets have a brutal schedule as well in September. But I have my concerns about the Phillies without Zach Wheeler postseason-wise. Still will win the East, but they really need that 2 seed. They need to hold off the NL West champion as well, with the Dodgers now a game ahead of San Diego after yesterday.
I think even more than the pitching is the lineup just goes flat on the road, right? They hit much better at home, and they really need to start, stringing some hits together. And we haven't really seen that consistently all season long. So, yeah, especially against the high-end teams and the better pitchers. So, like to see them start getting some wins on the road.
Philadelphia's team OPS at home, 805. On the road, 696. So that is a significant difference from, if you have an OPS over 800, I look at you as an above-average player. Sub 700, you're a below-average player. Yeah. So big-time split for the Phillies this year. All right, let's go to Milwaukee next. Brewers put it on the Diamondbacks yesterday. And now they throw Jacob Mizorowski against Brandon Pfaadt here today. Minus 50 on Mizorowski, total of 8. I think that total's too low. Again, Brewers' offense has obviously been locked in over the last 2.5 months especially. They still lead the majors in runs scored. And Mizorowski has not been quite as good post All-Star break. Obviously, he missed some time as well, but hasn't been quite as good as just the absolutely unhittable guy, except for one start pre-All-Star break. I think 8's too low. I like this over here tonight, Alex.
I don't hate it at all. I think that is the only way to play it. I just worry about both these guys. There's so much variance here between the two. But, I mean, Brandon Pfaadt, really, if you just look at his road starts since June, I mean, a 7.11 ERA and a 1.42 whip. So nothing great there. I think you could expect him to get hit, especially by this Brewers lineup. And then you're right, Mizorowski, he gave up 3 earned runs to the Cubs in 4, 5 against the Reds, 2 to the Cubs. He really has a great start against the Dodgers mixed in there. And then that's really it since the All-Star break. You're right. It's been a little rough for him coming back.
Oh, we haven't had that. We haven't had that in a while. There we go.
This
is gonna sound great down here now, even more compact than it was before. It's been months. All right, you know what? We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna see if this passes real quick. Live YouTube, right? We'll take a quick break. We'll see you in a moment here on Sports by the Book.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
We're back. That was always fun. See, when that happened when we were in the old studio, we could get away with it if it didn't come across too much. In our new digs, no. It's overpowering, to say the very least. All right, let's keep it rolling, Alex, and hopefully it doesn't pop back on. Let's go to St. Louis next. Cardinals and Pirates drama yesterday. Walk-off for the Cardinals. Wilson Contreras also had a very interesting crash out, to say the very least, getting ejected from the game and then firing his bat that accidentally hit one of his coaches. Palante and Keller, minus 25 on the Cards, plus 10 on the Pirates. Total of 8 in this one, Alex.
I feel like it's a pretty good price here on the Pirates, plus 110. I think the Cardinals were pretty fortunate to get that win yesterday with a walk-off. So, yeah, that's the way I'd play it. Palante's been pretty bad this year. And honestly, Mitch Keller has been pretty decent, especially against average or below average lineup. So it would only be the Pirates for me if I were to play it, probably will.
Up next, Alex, let's go to San Francisco. And this, again, the Cubs started to get out of the slumber the last week plus now. Again, 5.5 behind the Brewers. That's the closest they've been in about 2 weeks. They're minus 140 tonight with the All-Star Matthew Boyd on the bump at minus 140, plus 25 on Verlander, total 7.5 in San Fran. You see right there, the Brewers in command of the number 1 seed in the NL, the Cubs in command of the number 1 wild card in the NL. They would have home field over San Diego if the postseason started today, Alex White.
140 is crazy to me. Now, I think that you're getting...
You can even do better in the market. You can get minus 130 on Boyd if you want.
Ooh, I will take that, definitely. I'm even going to play a little on the run line here. Minus 1.5, plus 125. I just think the Cubs are the far better team. I think that Matthew Boyd, as long as he's not playing against the Brewers, he's pitching fantastic. I mean, the Brewers are the only team that put up more than 3 against him. And then Justin Verlander, now 3 of his last 5 starts were really good, but he definitely can get hit up, and he did against the Padres, and he did against Washington. So I think the Cubs and the lefties they have in this lineup are definitely going to be able to get to him. So this is a definite play here. Money line and a little bit on the run line.
No issue with that, Alex. I'm going to follow you. I'll go find a minus 130. That is a really good price on Boyd here tonight. And the Giants have been awful at home, which you normally would not expect out of that team with the way that they're always well constructed for that ballpark. But the Giants at home this year are 30-33, which you don't see that very often. And again, they have fallen completely out of contention here in 2025. All right, up next, let's go to L.A. We were off on the Hunter Green handicap yesterday because and that was the best start he's had back in the majors this year. And the Dodgers went on to blow out the Reds. Cincinnati's deficit in the NL wild card is now 2.5 behind the Mets after the Mets vaporized Philadelphia last night. Minus 175 on LA with Clayton Kershaw against Nick Martinez on the other side for the Reds. A total of 9 at Chavez Ravine tonight, Alex.
It's funny because Nick Martinez, similar to Matthew Boyd, just does not pitch well against his division foes or the Brewers especially in there. So I think he can pitch well here against the Dodgers. I know that they did put some runs on the board yesterday. Still not overly impressed with their offense. And Clayton Kershaw has been pretty good as well. I mean, he's actually been one of their stronger pitchers, especially at least going 5 innings for them. So it would be an under 5, which I think is a pretty good number. No 4.5s, no 4. Can get under 5 here with Martinez and Kershaw. That would be the way that I would play it. With 1-1 on the first 5s yesterday, so I'm not sure if I'm going to jump in any unders today.
You know, I actually might do something I don't really do very often, and that's actually lay the half a run in the first 5 with the Dodgers. Kershaw's been really good. I floored at how good Kershaw's been this year. I thought he was totally finished after a few years of mediocrity and injury issues. Kershaw's been great.
He really has.
And I know you mentioned it. Look, a lot of Martinez's bad numbers recently got bloated because of that fiasco in the game Cincinnati was up 8-1 on Milwaukee that they ended up losing. But I would actually lay its first 5, lay the half run, minus 15. I don't mind doing that with the Dodgers here tonight. I think that's the only way I'd consider going on this one here at Dodger Stadium tonight. Again, L.A., a 1-game lead over the Padres, who lost in Seattle last night. Apparently, that's now the Vetter Cup, even though, Ryan, isn't Eddie Vedder a Cubs fan? Like a big Cubs fan? Pretty yeah, I guess, but interesting that the Cubs aren't involved in that one way or another. But the Mariners did clinch the Vetter Cup last night, so congratulations to Seattle on winning a fictionalized trophy. That was pretty nice, the guitar that was given out last night. All right, let's go to Baltimore next. Lucas Giolito goes for the Red Sox. Red Sox came from behind and held on, winning yesterday 4-3. And they'll face Kyle Bradish, who makes his season debut here for the Orioles. Of course, an injury-riddled year for Bradish, and now back here for his first start here in the last week of August. Total 8.5, Sox small favorite at minus 110 at Camden Yards.
Man, I mean, you got to keep betting on this Red Sox team, right? They just find ways to win. I've been talking about Giolito, too. I really like him. As part of their pitching staff, I think he's been outstanding for them. I mean, really, in his last 5, 1 earned run 3 times, and, you know, got hit up by the Yankees and the Padres, but can't really take anything from that. And still, 3 earned runs, 4 earned runs, still very good starts for him. On the other side, I really don't know what to expect from Bradish, and had the same thing as Spencer Strider with after Tommy John and the internal brace. And I'm going to take a shot here and going against him. I think it's going to take some time, just like it has with Strider. So I'm going Red Sox money line, minus 110. I think that's an awesome price, and a little bit on the run line again, plus 145.
I'm with you on both accounts. I'm surprised that the Red Sox are not a bigger favorite tonight. And again, who knows how long Bradish is going to go. And It could be
That
a lot.
too.
Could be
Pitch
a
count,
lot
yeah.
of the Baltimore bullpen here tonight in this one. All right, we do not have thoughts on the Rays and the Guardians. Just throwing that out there for everyone. Boz is a dog tonight against Messick. Messick looked really good in his major league debut, -115 on Cleveland. Rays stomped the Guardians in a rain-laden game last night. We go to Toronto, and Blue Jays just bombard Joe Ryan. I'm a little bit concerned about Joe Ryan right now. We just got bombarded again by Toronto this time last night.
Did he come out after the first, or did he settle in?
It was a very, very, very bad first inning for Ryan last night, and Ryan only ended up going 5 innings, but he gave up 6 earned, but just bombarded from the beginning in a 10-4 win for Toronto last night. Bassett and Ober, -70 on Bassett, total 8.5. Jays, again, a 5-game lead in the American League East. They're tied with Detroit in the loss column. Tigers technically ahead because they have the extra win, but as we remember, Toronto has the tiebreaker on the Tigers if they were to end up tied after 162, which would mean the playoffs will go through Canada in the American League if Toronto and Detroit end up tied.
I really have nothing in this one either. I think -170 is a pretty good price on the Blue Jays if you're willing to jump in on such a big favorite, but I probably won't be playing it here.
Yeah, I wish this either was another 20 cents either way. -50 I could justify on the Jays, plus 195 on Minnesota. Or 75, I should say, I could justify on Minnesota. All right, up next. We can be quick here as well with the White Sox and the Royals. Boy, what a shocker last night. Noah Cameron just got blitzed from the get-go. A 7-0 win for the White Sox. Now it's a really cheap price on Michael Lorenzen tonight against Martin Perez. I mean, Alex, -115 on Kansas City. I know it's a dead-even pitching matchup, and the White Sox skunked them last night, but that's a pretty good price on Kansas City here today.
I mean, I agree. And I wish it was always that easy, right? Yesterday with Noah Cameron, where he pitched outstanding against him, and then the next game they come back and, really put it on him. They won 7-0. So I'm not going to get involved, but I couldn't fault you. Especially the Royals have been playing good baseball here, and they are still, trying to push for that playoff spot. So pass for me, but -115 on the Royals. It's a decent number.
Angels and Rangers. Angels leadoff homer for Neto, and that's all they needed. They shut out the Rangers last night in Jacob deGrom's return. Kikuchi and Corbin, essentially a pick here at the South Point. LA, a -10 favorite, -05 on the Rangers. Total 8.5. Total's too low. I thought this should have came, even with all the questions on this and the struggles of the Ranger lineup, I thought this should have came a 9, and we get 8.5. I would go over 8.5 in this game with Kikuchi, who has struggled on the road, and Corbin, who is Patrick Corbin.
It wouldn't be a DeGrom spot, right, if he didn't get 0 run support from his team. So
that too yesterday. Yeah, that's true.
Him coming back here. I think it's a pretty cheap number on the Angels, to be honest, -110. You're right. I would rather back Kikuchi at home than on the road, but Patrick Corbin is really starting to
show the cracks.
Come back down to earth. Yes. So it would only be Angels for me. Probably not going to get involved. I don't hate the over either. I think we can get runs from both sides.
Let's go to West Sacramento next. And there was nothing through 5 innings. Like, it was good we stayed off the under last night with SKUBAL on the mound. Yeah, that game ended up exploding, going over. Sheng Langoliers with a grand slam off of SKUBAL to give the A's the lead for good in an 8-3 win for the Athletics last night against the Tigers. Now it's Morton and Beto tonight up in West Sacramento. -25 on the Tigers, +10 on the A's. 11 your total here tonight. The wind is blowing out the dead center. It's 87 degrees in West Sacramento tonight, Alex.
I really got nothing in this one either. I thought it was Joey Estes, but you are correct. It is Beto. Okay, so he has been in here. He's been pretty good as of late, just not going very deep. So, or going very long in these games. I don't know if he's starting all of these. So nothing for me, pass for me. I think it's a pretty good price on the Tigers, to be honest, to come back and get game 2 here.
-125 on Detroit. I'm with you. I think this is a good money line and run line price on the Tigers here. You're guaranteed 9 at-bats on the road. Yeah. Again, that ballpark scares me. It basically Coors Field light at this point, where I don't like picking sides. I only just want to play the wind factors and just bet it over just because of how well this park has played to the hitters this year, even though I know when Kenny was in with us that he said historically this played to the under, but I have to imagine with totals in the teens or the low teens and 12s with AAA pitching as opposed to the 10s, the 11s that you can't really, it's apples and oranges. You can't really compare with that ballpark. All right, let's go to New York next. Yankees put it on the Nats last night. Man, Cam Schlittler has been awesome since coming up for the Yankees. The Yankees probably should have done that about a month sooner. He's been their best pitcher over the last month. Another dominating effort a night ago. Now Elise Hill on the bump tonight for New York, -175. Mackenzie Gore, +160. A total of 9 in the Bronx tonight, Alex.
It would only be an over here for me with these two on the mound. I know Mackenzie Gore's had a few good starts mixed in there, but I still just don't think he's the same. I think the Yankees can get to him. Luis Hill on the other side, that makes me a little bit more nervous. So maybe it's just a Yankees team total over if you were looking for a way to play this. But nothing, I am not too confident in anything in this one.
I would be a little, this game is a little confusing for me because with the way Mackenzie Gore has pitched over the last 6 weeks, you have to be concerned in this ballpark because he's giving up homers. And in this ballpark, it is a little bit of an issue, obviously. But you started to see a glimpse in his last start that maybe the page is being turned, that he's starting to find it again.
Right.
Hill has been wildly inconsistent since coming back from the IL. I would actually lean to the Nats in the first 5 here and then not mess around with that awful bullpen in this ballpark. Take a little shot at +135, +140 on Gore in the first 5, which will probably mean we'll have a lead going to the bottom of the 5th, and then he'll give up a 2-run homer and we'll lose. But that's the only lean that I would have in this one here tonight. All right, let's go to Houston. It's Gordon and Hunter Brown, the MLB's worst Rockies, who, by the way, already had 37 wins. Right, Alex, they just have to win 3 more games in the month to go over that midseason 39.5. They probably won't do it tonight. Hunter Brown on the bump for Houston, -340 on the Stros, a total of 8. Alex, I was actually really looking for an angle to take Gordon, who has been probably the most consistent starter for the Rockies this year, but I can't bring myself to it. I'm just not convinced the Rockies are going to score any runs tonight, so I'm going to steer clear of this.
No, and it's really tough to even bet this game because I'm really not interested in going Rockies team total under 2.5, and that's really what they're offering you. So I'm going to stay away too. I think $3 favorite here is correct, but I mean the Astros haven't been really scared anyone offensively lately either, so it's tough to even jump in on this one.
Last one up, we go to Seattle. Second game of this series between the Padres and the Mariners. Dylan Cease, Luis Castillo, your pitching matchup. Both of these guys have had their struggles this year. 7.5 the total. Again, wackadoo over last night with a 9-6 Seattle win. We did warn you on that, and Miller has been the least consistent guy for Seattle, and Sears has struggled since coming over from the A's. Alex, I think everything's right here. The only question would be, is that total too low at 7.5? It is juiced to the over. Seattle small favorite at -115.
I am going to take a shot on that over 7.5 with these two. Even though I like Dylan Cease, I just think that these Mariners are going to be able to get to him. They're definitely feeling good right now and hitting consistently. On the other side, I think that the Padres are too. One of the better lineups that we've seen over the last month. So I think they'll be able to get to Castillo as well, who has given up 6 and 3 in his last 2 starts. So I like the over, but which kind of brings me back looking at the board and some of those overs that you liked with Brandon Pfaadt and Mizorowski. I mean, I think we're kind of making the same case here, and those are pitchers that I really think are going to get hit up. So yeah, I definitely like this one. I'm going to revisit some of those other ones earlier on.
I'll just say this with these two teams. Mariners, a game and a half behind Houston in the AL West. Padres, after last night, Dodgers reclaimed the lead in the division. But remember, the Dodgers have the tiebreaker over the Padres. So San Diego has to be 1 game ahead when it's all said and done in order to win the division. Mariners and the Astros this year have 1 series left, and whoever wins that series will have the tiebreaker. So again, a lot of important baseball to be played out west. Those are the 2 closest races in baseball. with Seattle a game and a half behind Houston and San Diego 1 game behind the Dodgers. Everybody else is at least 5 games up entering today's action in the other 4 divisions. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, trivia question and answer. Might be clinching day for our friend Nick. Also, I'll give you the chat had a poll today as well. I think there's simpatico with us and Alex's whiteboard to wrap things up here on a Tuesday morning. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total has really crashed without Plum in the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
We're back in at Sports by the Book to wrap things up on a Tuesday morning. Again, we have Football Frenzy on a Friday moving forward at noon. So not only are we live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m., Football Frenzy's live every Friday at noon. Chris Andrews, Vinny Magliulo, Alex White, Jeff Parles, all 4 of us will be here. Looking forward to that. Also, our NFL previews continue to roll along. The Los Angeles Rams are now live. Matthew Stafford, please stay upright. That's all I'll say going into the year for the Los Angeles Rams. Of course, Stafford has been dealing with a back ailment all summer long and looks like he'll be ready for week 1. But again, a lot of questions. And we're pretty steadfast in recording all our previews in win total order. We recorded the Rams last because of Matthew Stafford's back. So yes, more are coming after the Rams, but that was the most recent record because of Matthew Stafford's back that we were waiting to make sure that he was at least even going to be there in week 1, Alex.
Of course, Puka Nacua is back again, and they add Devontae Adams. So make sure you check that out. A lot to say on that one.
Check them all out. They're all everyone up to the Rams available on the YouTube page, Sports by the Book, right now. All right, before we get your whiteboard, let's go to the trivia question, which actually is a multi-sport question here today from our friend Vince. On this date in 1971, Bobby Orr, of course, scored one of the most famous goals in NHL history, signed a 5-year, $1 million contract with the Boston Bruins, was deemed to be the first $1 million contract in the NHL. So the question is, who were the first players to sign such a deal for $1 million in the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball? And the answer is, we'll start in football. Johnny Lamb Jones, interestingly enough, was the first one in the NFL. That did not work out for the New York Jets when it was all said and done. 6 years, $2.1 million for 1980. In baseball, it was Mr. Ryan, Nolan Ryan, $4.5 million over 7 seasons in 1979. And then Moses Malone and Bill Walton together, 1 year, $1 million apiece, 1979, 1980. That was when all the way back in the San Diego Clipper era. Look at those goggles for Walton on the far left. After winning his championship in Portland, of course, went home to San Diego for a little bit with the Clippers. But there you go. Those are the answers there. And Nick, you can pop the champagne. You can send the confetti down from the rafters. Nick has clinched the month of August. That's 3 straight months for Nick now. asserted his dominance over JR in the trivia here on Sports by the Book. Also, the poll question today, which pitcher is most likely to get their Baker's dozen? That's 13 for you at home in wins here today. Matthew Boyd, 46% of the vote, which I would agree with here today. You and I are both going to be on the Cubbies on this Tuesday, Alex White, and you got a pretty loaded whiteboard here today.
I do. Well, I have 3 baseball. I mean, I'm going to count it as 3, even though I'm going to play a little bit of those run lines. And then I have 1 future since going through the ACC, and we'll add some more tomorrow, Big Ten and SEC. But it's been a lot of fun here going through the football stuff. So starting with baseball, Cubs, you just said it, Matthew Boyd. I think Verlander is helping us get a better price here with Matthew Boyd, who's been fantastic. Take a little bit of the run line, plus 125. I'm also going to take the Red Sox. Giolito's been very good for them on the road, minus 110. So that is why I'm going to try with the run line for them as well at plus 145. Padres, Mariners over 7.5. I'm with you. Phillies, Mets, if we see an 8, I'm definitely going to go over that. Just all 4 of these offenses have been so good. And then my win total, I like Duke over 6.5. I like their non-con that they are starting out with. Illinois, Sammy P just said he liked that one as well, taking them in that spot. Tulane, former Tulane quarterback and highest paid college quarterback, is going to see his old team in Darien Mensah. So it's going to be a tough game there, but I think that they can win that one. And then looking at their conference games, I mean, it's really at Clemson and at North Carolina, second to last game of the year. We'll see what the Tar Heels are by that time, though. So those are the 2 big ones I have as losers on their schedule. Probably a couple other tough ones in there, but
I have them 7-5. So I guess I agree with you on that win total, Alex. I do have them beating Illinois. I will tell you right now.
It is a plus number with the over 2, I believe. That's why I was really drawn to it.
Week 2 against Illinois, everyone is and it's so sad on the Illinois side, and we'll get into this more in the Big Ten when we get to it a little bit more tomorrow. I am just so sad that Illinois got so overrated this offseason by the polls, because I was so ready out. They're gonna win 9. They're gonna be like this year's Indiana. Everyone's on it. You know what happens when that's the case.
Oh yeah.
And I am going to be on Duke in a big way in week 2 with that game in Durham against Illinois in that one. And if they split that in the Tulane game, I think Duke's in pretty darn good shape to go 7-5 this year.
Any early numbers that we're seeing for that Duke and Illinois game?
Yeah, I don't. You know what? DraftKings had it, but it's slipping to mind right now. So can't give you a straight answer on that one. Here today, we'll know better after this week anyway. Both those teams in action here in week 1.
Was Illinois a small favorite? What you're thinking?
I would
road
be.
favorite?
Yeah, Illinois a road favorite.
Yeah, okay,
definitely
good.
on that.
We want a few points there.
We'll get a few. I'm not too worried about that. All right, that's what we got for you here today. This has been Sports by the Book. We're back tomorrow. Colby Dant will join us tomorrow of SGPN, one of the best college football betting analysts out there. Will join us tomorrow on the show to break down pretty much whatever we want from Big Ten, SEC, G5, pretty much everything with Colby Dant tomorrow morning here on the show. She's Alex White. I'm Jeff Parles. We'll see you again tomorrow, 10 a.m., Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.